Hi you guys, this is Jamie with Whatever's Clever Boutique, and we are back yet again with another tumbler tutorial. Today I'm bringing you a custom order that I had, and I'm doing so because it has a lot of elements. We have peekaboo, we have glitter, we have water slide, we have vinyl work, pinstriping, all sorts of stuff. So I'm starting with two 20-ounce skinnies from Craft Haven. And I'm using my Cami Page Boutique all-in-one tool like you saw there to make my straight lines. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tape those lines off. Once I get those completely taped off, I'm gonna take my Ocean Deep Shock Paint from CC DIY, and I'm going to paint that bottom portion of these tumblers. I should mention I use the powder coated white tumblers from Craft Haven, so I didn't have to prep them. And I mean, if you've watched my tutorials, that's my go-to. I hate prep, I'll admit it. My coverage was pretty good here, so I only did one coat. If you need a second coat, you're more than welcome to go in after that first coat dries and apply a second coat for better coverage. I'm going to let that paint dry, and then I'm going to go in with Pogue from Peachy Olive Glitters. It's a really pretty fine teal glitter, and this is going to go over top of that teal paint. And the reason I'm using such a fine glitter is because this is going to be our peekaboo, so it'll just make the epoxy steps a little bit easier. Don't be like me. So I'm doing the UV method, and I put the UV resin on both tumblers. Put them on one at a time. It'll save you the headache. I was kind of bouncing back and forth trying to make sure that none of that UV went down onto the white portion of the tumblers, but I eventually got it. Once we get that UV all spread out, we're going to go in with Pogue, how pretty that is, and then remove our tape. And I do have a discount code with Peachy Olive Glitters. It is whatever10 for 10% off your purchase. Once we get both of those glittered, we're gonna go in with our UV lamp, and I put my tumblers on the turner, and I have this UV lamp that I'll link below, and I let my tumblers spin for about 5 minutes with the UV light hitting them. And that's how I cure that layer. Next, I'm gonna go in with Flurries from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is a really pretty pearl white, and we're gonna do the same method. I'm gonna take a little more time here on this top coat because it's not, by top coat I mean top glitter, because it's not taped off. So I just kind of slowly go around and apply that UV resin all over the top. Once we get the glitter on both of those tumblers, we're going to go back over and let our UV light hit the tumblers again for about 5 minutes. Then we're going to go in with 2 coats of epoxy to seal in that glitter. So these are cheerleading tumblers. So we're going to take these cute little pom-poms with stencil vinyl and get them all weeded. And then we're going to take our tumblers, and I'm going to sand down that top rim to expose a little bit of stainless steel for our final coats of epoxy. And then I'm going to sand any rough parts down on that teal section of the tumbler and leave the white flurries sections clear because we're going to apply a water slide to those, so we want those to stay shiny. But I'm going to take for now my pom-poms and just kind of sporadically put them throughout those teal sections of the tumblers. Once we get all of the pom-poms applied, I'm going to go in with my painter's tape and I'm going to actually tape off a little bit of the bottom. You can take your cami page all-in-one tool and draw a line around here. I would recommend that. It would make it a lot easier. I sped this up quite a bit for you guys because it took me quite a while to get a straight line all the way across on the two tumblers. But I'm basically going to leave that part exposed on the bottom of our glitter rather than painting it. So basically we're covering up any part of the tumbler that we don't want spray painted. So now we're going to take some saran wrap and I'm just going to wrap that around the top of the tumbler to protect that white. And then I'm going to take a little bit of painter's tape and tape that down as well. I could have done that again when I applied that first stripe of painter's tape to the top, but I was riding the struggle bus hard on these tumblers. So we just took all sorts of steps. I'm going to use Smolder from Color Shop Paint and paint those pom-pom sections, if you will. And then I'm going to go in and remove all of my tape and vinyl. These little tweezers from CC DIY are such a lifesaver when it comes to removing vinyl. Your fingernails just don't seem to work. You end up scratching the paint and then you got a big old mess on your hands. So I highly recommend using some sort of really fine tip tweezers to help you get the vinyl started so you can start pulling it away. So now for our pom-pom outlines. I will tell you, this was a pain to weed. So what I decided to do was, as you can see here, I lifted the pom-pom up and then set it back down on that blank part of the backing on the bottom. That way I didn't have to weed all those little tiny pieces. I still had some weeding to do from the pieces that didn't, stay on the backing, but this was just so much quicker and so much easier. I did speed it up quite a bit here for you guys, but that's the way I worked around having to weed every single little piece of the pom-pom. So do whatever is best for you, but this was definitely the easiest for myself. The vinyl I used here was from Tech Wrap Craft. I will link the description below. I don't recall exactly if it was glitter holographic or something else, but I'll have it down below for you. Now I decided to live life on the edge a little bit, and I am going in on my straight spray paint to lay the pom-pom outlines. So to combat that, I took my piece of transfer tape and I pushed it onto my shirt, onto my pants, all sorts of things to try and get most of that sticky away. So I didn't take the chance of pulling up any paint. And with Tech Wrap Craft, their vinyl is so great that it doesn't need a whole lot of stickiness on the transfer tape to pick up that vinyl. So it ended up working really well, and I saved a step. I didn't have to epoxy, so it was a win-win for me. Now I'm going to take these cute little cheerleading messy bun heads and I printed them on laser water slide paper. Now with laser, you don't have to seal, and I absolutely love it. Sealing my water slide is so annoying to me for some reason. I don't know why. I avoid water slide altogether until I got this laser printer, and now I've been using it a ton. So I'm gonna cut those out. I stick it in the water for about, gosh, I'd say 30-40 seconds until it starts lifting away, as you can see there. Then I'm gonna take some water, put it on that white part, and then just pull my backing out. I really like this water slide brand. I'll link it below. I'm not sure of the actual brand itself. I got it off of Amazon, but you can manipulate it, you can move it around, and I haven't had anything rip or tear. It's just super easy to work with. Now I'm going to take my little squeegee and try and just press as much of that water out as I can, and then it's done. And I will say, if you do follow the steps that I have taken to make this tumbler, do be a little bit careful here, because remember, we have no epoxy over top of our paint, no epoxy over our vinyl. So we do have a lot going on the tumbler that's not protected at this point. So just be a little bit careful. So I let those dry for at least a couple of hours. I just wanted to be sure they were really dry, no water trapped underneath, because that'll really give you issues with your epoxy. But I then go in with one coat of epoxy to seal in all of that stuff we have going on. And now it's time for our vinyl labels. We're going to put Cheer Mom and Cheer Coach on these, as well as our pinstriping. So I take my two little Cami Page Boutique cup holders and just lay my cups in there so that they stay still for me and don't shift around. Then I'm going to go ahead and lay those vinyl labels down and then go in with our pinstriping. For the pinstriping, I'm going to use this turquoise, as well as just a solid black, and then a super thin line of the holographic. And I'm going to pinstripe on both the top and bottom paint lines. So we're going to start with the turquoise and just kind of make our way around. I will turbo speed this for you guys so you can watch me do the whole thing, but just not as slow as it actually took me to do so. As I was going through and doing the pinstriping, it actually ended up reminding me of cheer uniforms pinstriping that they generally have around the sleeves and stuff. So I was getting really excited about the way these tumblers were coming together. Once I got all of that pinstriping on, I went in with my final 2 coats of epoxy. And you definitely want to do more than 1 coat here. We do have 3 layers of pinstriping, so just be cognizant of that, and I would recommend going in with 2 coats for your final coat. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching today's tutorial. I hope you were able to learn something, gain a little bit of inspiration, or just merely enjoyed watching it. I really appreciate you guys coming back, and if you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask below. I have discount codes in the description box, as well as all of the items that I used to create these two cheer tumblers. And I also have a link to my new makers group on Facebook. It's kind of like a community group where you can bounce questions off of one another, and I'll be posting discount codes and my tutorials in there so you guys don't miss them. So if that's something you're interested in, that's in the description box below as well. If you want to be notified of future tutorials, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button. And I can't wait to come back next week and show you guys something new. Have a great rest of your weekend.